David, the patron saint of Wales, was born 1500 years ago in what is now Pembrokeshire. Tradition says he died on the first day of March. 30 years before his birth, his father Sant saw a vision of an angel who told him that when he hunted that day, he would find 3 gifts: a stag as a sign of strength, a salmon as a sign of simplicity, and a beehive as a sign of wisdom. These would mark out the kind of son he would bear. David was born in a raging storm, but the place where his mother Non gave birth was bathed in warm sunlight, and the ground on which she lay was soft and warm. When her child was baptized, he was given the name Dewi, which means much loved. As a boy at school, his teacher noticed that whenever David was in class, a dove with a golden beak would come to him as a sign of God's presence. And when he grew up, the dove would always be there, perched on his shoulder, to make sure that whatever words he spoke went straight to people's hearts. In time, David settled near the coast and began to build a monastery. He and the monks did all the work themselves, even ploughing the fields by hand. It was a very hard life, but they were happy under David's guidance. The food that they ate was simple but good for them, and they worked long, hard hours for it, following David's teaching that whoever does not work hard does not deserve the food. One of the loveliest stories of David concerns a monk called Mathavnog, who came from Ireland to spend time with David. Mathavnog worked in the monastery gardens, and beekeeping was what he liked to do best of all. He grew special flowers that he knew the bees would like, and he enjoyed listening to their gentle hum around the garden. He would collect the honey and pour it into jars for the monks to eat, and when there was little fruit on the trees, he would turn the honey into mead for the monks to drink. And he would also gather wax to make candles for the church. After many years, the time came for Mathavnog to return home to Ireland, and David prayed that he might go in peace. However, as soon as he reached the harbour, he heard a humming behind him. The bees had swarmed and had come down to see him off. And when Mathavnog got onto his boat, the bees followed, and they refused to leave. The monk knew that he could not take them with him, so he got out of the boat and took them back to the monastery, making sure they all returned to their hives. Then once again he set off back to the shore. But for a second time the bees followed him onto the boat. Once again he patiently returned them, but as he left once more they came after him down to the boat. And on seeing this happen for a third time, St. David blessed Mathavnog and told him to take the bees with him as a gift. And he blessed the bees, telling them to settle in Ireland, for at that time there were no bees there at all, and the Irish monks had never tasted honey in their life. And so, as a result of David's generosity, the bees in Ireland became abundant and enriched the land with their produce. David lived for many more years, until one night as the monks sang their hymns in church, an angel visited him to tell him that the end of his life was near. And when the news got out, people came from all over the country to see their beloved friend once more before he died. And someone at the time said it was just as when in a terrible storm the bees swarm back to their hives. Such was the desire the people had to hear Dewi Sant's voice one last time before he was taken up to heaven.